you need to be able to project yourself as someone who people want to work with, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to prove that you are the best at what you do. When you force someone to do something, especially a kid,
Yeah.
like you automatically develop like a rejection
Mm-hmm.
towards it. My father was like, okay, you're sitting at home doing nothing, choose whatever you do, just do something, let me know, and I'll sign you up for wherever you want.
Tell
Yeah.
me a bit about Tzvi on the first day. When, like, what were your thoughts?
I scared as hell, man. I scared as hell.
Hi, Tzvi.
Hi, Gera.
Welcome to our podcast, Mind My Business, a podcast where everyone shares their story. Main goal of the podcast and this chat is to come out, like for anyone who's listening, to come out with tangible things that they can apply for themselves to grow and to learn from what you've been through as well, right? So, with that said, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself? What do you do? And
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here. Um, well, it's important to mention that I'm the first guest that Gera has never met in
Yes.
person. Like we only had just a few chats. So this is the blind date,
Yes,
full
pretty
on
much.
blind date. And I'm going along with it because I really like it. So I'm 38. I arrived to Paphos. I moved to Paphos a year and a half ago with my family, with my beautiful wife and my beautiful daughter. Our second daughter was born here.
Okay.
I lived all of my life in Tel Aviv, Israel, and this is where basically I started my career in marketing. So I started off as an SEO guy,
Okay.
search engine optimization, organic growth for businesses, websites, and I rolled through multiple agencies, marketing agencies. This is where I realized like I had a lot of clients. I managed a lot of clients both in the Israeli market, and then I shifted to another agency where we worked with many startups and SMBs in the global markets, US, European, you name it. And this is where I realized that as an SEO guy, you could be like the best in the business, the best in the field, but there's a very low glass ceiling for you. Like you do SEO, and at the end of the day, I mean, those who are good with doing only one thing and excel in it, props for them. Like I really appreciate it. But I'm on the other hand, I'm really interested in being good at more than one thing. So I taught myself, to run campaigns. I taught myself to manage social media. I taught myself to come up with content management. And then I found myself sitting in desks and in roundtables with the CMOs and CEOs, and we're discussing strategy. And this is where, after so many years working for marketing agencies, I reached to a point when I told myself, I can do it better than them. So this is why I moved to client side. And throughout the years, I realized that my forte is mainly B2B. The buyer journey is very different compared to B2C, and you need to address multiple personas with multiple messages. I'm not saying anything, to downplay the B2C. I also used to work with a lot of B2C. I really like the challenges over there, but I understood that my main forte is B2B. So I moved to NetApp, which is a very large company, enterprise. They sell data storage and management solutions, both for on-prem and for cloud. And I led the cloud business unit's demand generation team. So this is what I used to do for 3 years. Then I moved to Cyprus, and I left NetApp. And this is where basically I realized that um, in today's market, nobody hires managers in a remote position. So after I get a lot of proposals from headhunters. I didn't even update my LinkedIn that I reside in Paphos. I mean, I was still in Tel Aviv, so everybody thought that I'm from Tel Aviv. So they offered me multiple positions, and I kind of A/B tested like where do I where in the conversation I actually put the fact that, I don't live in Israel anymore.
Mm.
And it didn't matter because every time I told them like I don't live in Tel Aviv anymore, they're like, okay, it's off the table. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Okay. So one thing that you've mentioned that let's go to the like the topic you said B2B and B2C. What would you say was at least one of the key differences between the two that made you decide to go with B2B? Mm.
It's a very interesting question. I guess that when you market to organizations, the playbook is a bit more complex, and then you need to you need to build a funnel that includes many steps and many touch points. Now, I'm not saying that it's not true for B2C. You also need to nurture B2C clients and come up with, be present wherever you are. You need to build a brand. But at the end of the day, the buying process is more complex. It's not like I can just enter a website like e-commerce, for example, and just put my credit card details and commit a purchase. I'm not saying, once again, you have multiple B2C formats over there. You can fill in a lead form and also get like starting your buying process offline. But the buying process in B2B is a bit more complex. And I find it individually, I find it a bit more challenging.
Okay. Can you give me a few examples of what would be a B2C in this case? Like, would it be like smaller restaurants or something like that, or is it completely different?
So I used to work with an American event ticket companies. So, they used to sell tickets for
Okay.
football events or even music concerts and stuff like that. I also used to work for global aesthetic beauty.
Okay, I see. So basically, your client was providing a service or a product to like a customer, not to a business. That in that way, you mean B2C, right?
Yeah. B2C is the type of business that provides services or products to the end customers.
Yeah.
While B2B, you basically market or sell your product or service for the entire organization to use.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of confused it because like I thought like you as yourself was like B2B instead of, like now your clients, you meant your clients B2B.
Yeah, my clients are
Yes,
B2B.
yes, not you. I thought like you meant yourself.
Well, when you look at it this way, I'm also kind of B2B,
Yeah, well,
in my current role because I sell my
yes,
services to
exactly.
organizations, right?
So yeah, that's why I kind of thought like would B2C be like a smaller
Ah, okay.
restaurant kind of thing? Or,
Yeah, I got it.
yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, okay. So, but before you start doing what you do now, you were in the music industry. Like, what did you like? Were you like full professional musician or?
Yeah, so I'm playing music ever since I'm 14.
Okay.
Um, as I mentioned, today I'm 38. That's a lot of years. And I used to play guitar. Then I realized that I suck at playing guitar, like really bad. And this is where, I picked up a bass guitar and I realized, okay, I'm not bad at it. I mean, we can play together. I played with my high school friends and we had a band and stuff like that. And I rolled into, being a professional musician, but it wasn't like my full-time job. I always nurtured the music career next to my marketing career to find a sweet balance. The problem is that ever since I moved to Cyprus, I barely played. I used to perform a lot. I used to record a lot. And ever since I moved to Cyprus, it's just because time constraints and, when family and, life happens, I found myself, not playing. So, if you play an instrument and you want a decent bass player, hit me up. I'm open to business.
Cyprus Paphos.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can drive to Limassol. I don't mind as long as it's good.
Nice. Do you see any like direct correlation between music and what you do now? Like things that you would apply to your music career that you would
Yeah,
do?
yeah, for sure, for sure. First of all, even as a musician, you market yourself, right? You
Yeah.
need to be like you need to label yourself, your personal brand, right? As Gela, as Tzvi. You need to be able to project yourself as someone who people want to work with, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to prove that you are the best at what you do. At least the way that I see it. Maybe you think otherwise, and it's okay. By the way, but as long as you good at what you do, you're being professional, and you do the work that needs to be done, and people like to work with you as a person. They feel this human connection. They'll call you. They'll call you. I'm not saying that I'm the most brilliant marketer there is, but as long as I manage to nurture those relationships and I leave a good taste in my client's mouth, I know that even if we won't work together anymore, like we'll just cut our relationship at some point, they will switch jobs. They have their own friends and colleagues and network that, whenever they're looking for someone, they will recommend me. So it's the same. It's the same as being like a hired bass player or guitar player or drummer or whatever. So that's one thing. Well, first of all, I mean, you always you work in teams most of the times, and even as an individual, as a one man show, you work with other teams. So it's always for you to be able to know when to blend in, when to listen, and when to let anyone else lead, and on the other hand, when it's your turn to take the lead and just drag everyone along with you. When is the time for you to stand up on your own and push back, and when it's the time to just go along and let the music play, and just roll with it.
Nice, nice. Today's video is sponsored by Paphos Podcast Studio, the perfect place if you want to record high quality solo content, podcasts, or interviews in a professional setup. Whether you are a creator, entrepreneur, or just starting your podcast journey, the studio gives you great lighting, clear audio, and a comfortable space so you can focus on creating amazing content. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast or leveling up your videos, definitely check us out at Paphos Podcast Studio.
So yeah, that's the way I see it. Do you play?
No, I don't.
No?
I was never close with music. I don't know. Like it's always. I think I came to the realization that it's probably because our teachers at school that I don't like music, because they were like, they wouldn't find, like every person has their own way.
Yeah.
Like, and if you kind of make someone do something that they don't want to do, then it becomes like a burden and you don't want to do it, and like, and then I hated music, like I didn't want to play any instrument. We played like
You grew up here in Cyprus?
Yes.
All right.
We play like the main instrument was the flute. Like everyone had to play the flute. And like to me it felt like it was very, like you either play the flute or like you have to play the flute, and
Yeah.
like why don't like let them play something else? And
was it only the teachers, or were there also your parents who pushed you, like you have to play the flute?
my parents all never told me,
Okay.
especially about music. They are not, maybe they are not, like maybe it's in the family, we are not music. Like I like to listen to music, and I listen to music every day, all day, and all this stuff. But yeah, it's never kind of been a thing for me, music. And
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. And as you mentioned, when you force someone to do something, especially a kid,
Yeah.
like you automatically develop like a rejection towards it. You
Yeah.
some kind of an anti. I don't want to play any instrument just because you try to force me. I understand it, because something similar also happened in Israel. Back in my day when I was young, but nobody really. Well, I guess it depends. Like Israel is like a country of a lot of migrants, just like Cyprus these days. But back then in the 90s, there was a big wave that was coming from the USSR. So, the Soviet parents were really like pushing the kids into, you have to play an instrument and you have to train in any kind of, sports or dance or anything like that. And my parents, they weren't Soviet. They didn't push me. For me, it was more like when I was a teenager, when I was 13, 14, I used to play football in a team, like in my hometown's team. And I was crazy. Like they kicked me out of the team because I was crazy. I had like discipline issues. And my father was like, okay, you're sitting at home doing nothing, choose whatever you do, just do something, let me know, and I'll sign you up for wherever you want. And one of my classmates, he just started to play guitar. So I was like, yeah, whatever, what the hell? Yeah, I
Mm.
want to play guitar. So my father was
Okay.
like, okay, I'll buy you a guitar. I'll send you to a teacher. And
Mm.
this is how it started,
Yeah.
basically, just
Okay.
because I was being an idiot and kicked out of the football team.
Mm. But the music was from your own initiative.
Yeah,
Do you,
yeah.
anyone in your family, do they play any
No,
music?
but I grew up in a very musical house.
Okay.
My father always used to play like Beatles and Led Zeppelin records for
Mm.
us, and my sisters. I'm the youngest, so I have
Okay.
older sisters. They always play like Guns N' Roses and The Doors.
Okay.
So
It got into you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I see. And it's a really also like you put it in a really nice way how your music experience links with the stuff that you do now. And yeah, like you mentioned about SEO, and because I was also involved with SEO in my previous job roles. I worked also at a marketing agency where they did SEO. Did you do like things like you mentioned also campaigns, like for link building, things like that, or
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Specifically,
technical SEO or
I
both?
used to do everything. So
Okay.
one theme that always drove me is I like to be an all around player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. There are in every aspect, be it SEO, paid campaigns, just overall marketing, whatever. There are aspects that interest you more, and there are aspects that don't
Yeah.
really interest you as much. Just like software engineering or anything like that. There
Mm-hmm.
are some, I don't know, code languages or anything like that that you really like
Mm-hmm.
working with, and some others that you really don't like working with, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to, I like to just push myself out of the comfort zone and teach myself everything that, I don't know yet, and I want
Mm-hmm.
to try. And if I like it, I like it. When it comes to SEO, I really like to do the technical part,
Okay.
like dig deep into a website and find all of those flows and get this audit, like
Mm-hmm.
30 something page document, send it over, and just take it to your developer, link me up with your guy, let's talk. And I know that he'll be like, what do you want me to do? You do it. It's okay. I
Yeah.
didn't really like the link building part.
Okay.
And this is like a weak spot for me when it comes to SEO. I know how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to SEO, like my workaround these days when I work with my clients is mainly around building an awesome content that resonates with your ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you actually earn backlinks.
Yeah. Okay. So n- because I've met a lot of people who do like technical SEO, would you say there is like a common trait in their character, like in your character and everyone who does tech SEO? Like are they? To me, it feels like tech SEO guys. They like to investigate. They like analyze stuff, count the numbers, and all this stuff. Do you see that as well, or like? ah,
Well, if you mean by asking that, if they're weird, well, all of us marketeers are weird, man.
No, 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 that's not what I meant. But
No, I know. I was just joking. I was just joking. Yeah, I mean, when the technical part and the numbers, if these aspects intrigue you more, I
Mhm,
mean, obviously it means a lot, about your character, that you're more like an analytical person. You're more like into um, being very diligent and get into the bits and bytes of things so you could get the understanding and how to fix it. Like
mhm,
um, it's a very distinguished mindset. And I think that, for example, I think I would count myself more in this group compared to the more like creative guys who
mhm,
always come up with um, ideas for video ads or anything like that, or just find a micro copy that would just rock your LinkedIn feed. I also do that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I suck at it. I'm actually, I think I would like to believe that I'm pretty good at it, but I find myself, leaning towards the analytical parts. So for example, like the I really like creating an entire automation like infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Marketing automation and
Okay.
even business automation. Like I tend to work a lot with rev ops and sales ops and marketing ops. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
also part of my
Okay.
gig, and I find it like really intriguing, especially these days when there, it's the age of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you always like you have lots of new solutions and lots of other tools that
Mm-hmm.
might help, could help you with scaling your day-to-day work and improve your data flow, so you'll be able to create the winning infrastructure. Like I find it really intriguing.
Right. Okay. You mentioned about automations. Like what tools? Like do you do NA10 automations like Zapier or
So yeah,
anything?
I work a lot with Make these days. It's mainly a
Make.
question of
Okay.
my clients and their budget and their tech stack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't work with NA10 as much as I would like to,
Okay.
mainly due to time constraints.
Is Make simpler or what would you, I never used Make. I know about Make, but I've never used it.
I mean, when you get the gist of it, it becomes pretty simple.
Mhm.
Zapier is a bit more user friendly to me, but I like Make because it has more capabilities compared to
Okay.
Zapier.
Okay.
And then you have your traditional platforms such as HubSpot,
Mm-hmm.
Marketo, Salesforce.
Yeah.
What's when it comes to like software engineering, you said that you worked with marketing agencies. Like what's the
Yeah.
correlation between,
Yeah.
I always try to understand, to develop like a healthy conversation with the
Mm-hmm.
developers, so they will
Yeah.
find the common language. But I'm always intrigued to understand like the barriers and the challenges from the developers and towards the marketing guys. Like
Yeah.
what do these guys want from me with their
Mm-hmm.
agendas and
Yeah. Like the stuff that we did, like I was involved in, like they were doing interactive campaigns, like web apps, mini web apps,
Mhm.
with infographics and things like that. If you wanted like, animations in your charts and all this stuff, we did some very cool stuff, while I was there. Um, to me, I don't know, like I've how it worked because I wasn't the guy who a marketeer would come and he would be like, "Oh, go and fix this, and these issues." Like I was more on the creative part that you said. So we would build something so that the guys who are doing the link building will go and promote out to the
Mhm.
user. So I did like we did have like sometimes we had to do some fixes for tech SEO, fix some links, lost pages, and things like that, but it was mainly the on the creative part. So I wouldn't say I had much experience with marketing teams being like, okay, we need to fix all this, and like uh, but to let you know, like one thing that is very common on every system and every website is because things are very connected with each other, like, and sometimes like someone comes and like, oh, can we do this small change? It's not really a small change,
Yeah.
even though it feels like a small change, it's not really that small of a change. So,
Yeah, because it leads to a chain of components or
yes,
or or platform
yes.
systems that are connected to each other. So
Mm-hmm.
if you just change like one CSS selector, for example,
Yes.
the whole thing could crumble.
Eh,
I'm interested to like, is it the same in Cyprus where usually you work with people again,
mhm,
and especially you, like you own your business, right? You deal with your clients. It's not like you're hiding behind your screen and your
mhm.
code all day long. Is it like the same mindset in Cyprus that sometimes um, it's more like me against you instead of let's work together?
I think, yes, I think it's like that. But you know why it is? I think it's so that when it comes to the price, like if you do you mean like your client and you, for example, or
Well, also, but also So it really depends. You work with companies, right? So your point of contact with your clients is usually like the CTO,
Yes.
CEO.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. That's one thing that I would like to hear. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, you also you mentioned working with SEO teams and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I'm interested to learn about both interactions.
Okay. Well, I will start with the SEO thing. I didn't work here for the SEO. It was in the when I was in the UK.
Oh,
So it was like in the UK industry there. And I think there they were like very like you would work together. It's there is a problem, you need to fix it, like
yeah,
you need to sit down and sort it out. Here I don't have much experience on the SEO part, but from the clients that we have who are here, they are more like, I need this done, can you do it? Like it's your job to do it,
yeah,
like kind of this. And not always, it's all, of course it depends on the case, but it's a bit more like that, like
yeah.
instead of like, okay, let's try and think of a solution together, it's like,
Interesting, interesting. And do you work mainly with, like, from the Cypriot, for example, do you work mainly with people who are born and raised in Cyprus and they work with the Cypriot market, or is it like more global?
no, usually the projects that we will get would be like some kind sort of project that could get global as well, because what we do is we also see if the project is good for us to pick, if we are a good fit to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if the project is, like usually like in Cyprus is a small market, right? So if you have a niche idea that only applies to Cyprus, and you have like maybe 100 people who do this thing,
Yeah,
and then you could only, let's say, what they say, like 10 or 20%, right?
yeah,
And you are talking about 10 and 20 people, it's not really, like it need
yeah. It's
not
not
much.
it's not scalable. You can't
Yes.
really build growth on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes
So
sense.
yeah, but yeah, we try to have like clients from that, at least like, the project can be applied no matter the geography or any location. But we do build stuff for local,
Mm-hmm.
like as you know, the freelancers platform is built, for the local only. Like
Yeah.
it's, um, yeah.
I see a resurgence the um, in the amount of people who want to build startups in Cyprus.
Hmm.
Like I
Yes.
even I attended a very small meetup
Hmm.
in Limassol that they hosted. They have this. They have the university in Nicosia, and they have
Yeah.
some kind of entrepreneurship faculty or something like
Okay.
that. And they hosted like the dean, and of course the students came and they were talking about they hosted a panel of Ukrainian based experts, global experts, and they were talking about how to penetrate the US market and stuff like that. So I saw like there's a lot of interest, like there are a lot
Hmm.
of young folks
Yeah.
that they want to build their own thing here from Cyprus and
Hmm.
operate from Cyprus globally. And I really like it because Israel, for example, they call Israel the startup nation. They call it
Hmm.
for a reason. Like there's so many startups who
Hmm.
came out of Israel, and they operate in the Silicon Valley, and
Hmm.
made billions of dollars,
Hmm.
from funding to revenue and you name it. And here, like seeing this resurgence really like encourages me.
Hmm.
People say that sometimes being a bit behind is bad, but I don't see it that way. Like I see it as a big opportunity.
Mm. Yeah. You learn from the lessons that other, yeah,
Well,
maybe
not just that, not just that. I'm not talking about necessarily about myself. Like I'm talking about other people as well.
as a
Yeah, like
startup, yeah, like
that there
they
is a lot of ground that you can put your seeds in right now, and in a few years it'll grow.
mm, okay. See. Let's go back to you.
All right.
Let's you described, like you were working and at some point you realized that you can do like all this stuff by yourself. Was there something specific that happened that you were like, okay, I'm going to go on my own? Or was it just like time passed and you were like every time you were more convinced that
Oh no, no. It was something very specific. As I mentioned, like
mm-hmm,
I was working for NetApp,
mm-hmm,
and I moved to Cyprus, and I was lucky enough to work remotely throughout
mm-hmm,
this time. My bosses, my employers were okay with me moving to Cyprus, and I'm super grateful for that to till this day. But at some level, some stuff happened internally that I wasn't happy with,
mm-hmm,
and I realized that after 3.5 years, I can't fight it, and I'm not sure that I had the energies to fight it. Like
mm-hmm,
no matter what I did, I didn't see any way for me to improve my position.
okay,
So this is where I decided to leave. And as I mentioned, like you can say that reality kind of forced me to head my own path, but it was also, when I started to consider my options, this was the next step that made sense the most to me,
mm-hmm,
because I was being a team member, I was being a team leader. I also I used to work as a director, as a C level in startups. I tested everything, and at this stage, and especially after looking at the market, it's not just because companies didn't want to hire me. I also saw a lot of my friends in Israel really struggle with finding a job, and I saw like a resurgence in the early stage startups that actually they're actively looking for somebody who will own it, but not like as a full-time employee. And this is where the part of the fractional CMO came into play. Like I I talked with colleagues, and I spent my last year networking like I never talked to so many people in my life. And I talked to a few people who were doing the same thing, fractional CMOs, and they explained me what it's all about. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is exactly what I do. And I have a very competitive edge over, other people in my field who do the same thing. So why not trying it?
mm,
And I decided to give it a shot. And I was lucky enough to have amazing friends and colleagues who wanted to help me from the first day that I announced that I'm heading my own path. And they introduced me to people, and they sent me leads. And this is where I started to close those leads, get more clients, get the job done, and grow from there. Looking backwards, it's basically the best decision I made.
yeah. Oh, that's a lot of people say that when they go on your own. But can you explain us a bit what is fractional CMO?
Yeah, yeah. These days, it's mainly a buzzword, but fractional CMO is basically somebody who you hire for your team as not as a full time, but um, you treat him as a full team member for basically anything. So when it comes to CMO, um, it's very common in early stage companies, early stage startups where you don't have your own marketing team, for
Mm-hmm,
example, and you need somebody who will take care of both the strategy and the hands-on work.
mm-hmm,
So this is basically the role of fractional. Like he owns the strategy, and he's in charge of implementing it. And at the end of the day, he's the one who's in charge of the results, like if the strategy was good or not.
mm-hmm,
As opposed to advisor, for example, who you hire to um, navigate your current marketing team or marketing person. It depends how, the
mm-hmm,
size of your company, but the advisor isn't really accountable for the outcomes. It just over there, shifts the conversation and the strategy
mm-hmm,
towards what he feels that makes sense. On the other hand, you have the marketing guy who's a full-time employee,
mm-hmm.
but he doesn't necessarily have the level of experience to create a full go-to-market strategy.
Okay, I think I understand it now. Um, would was this like from your SEO path? Like, was this easy to kind of, how to say? No, would you say, did you pivot? You didn't really pivot to that, right? So it was more like your
It's a growth
path.
path.
Yeah, a path,
I
a
see it
growth
more
path.
like a growth path than a
Yeah,
pivot
yeah.
because SEO is part of marketing, right? It's
Yeah.
only one channel. But these days, I see myself once again as an all around.
Yeah.
Like I help my clients, and it doesn't matter if they reside in the U.S. or in Israel or in Europe. I have clients from all of those places. And it doesn't matter if you work with global markets. I have, global companies. I have local companies. At the end of the day, um, the main gist stays the same. Like I'm the one who understands the overall vision of the company. So, for example, as a startup, you have your main northern star for the next year, right? I want to hit, I don't know, $1 million ARR in income. Okay. How do I get to that? So, this is my role as the fractional CMO to reverse engineer the strategy and the channels that need to be done based on my analysis of the market, of the product, of the competitive field, and where analyzing the ideal customer, like the ICP, understanding where they at, and essentially how do I get them with which messaging. And then I break it down to the more technical parts, how to build this campaign or that campaign, how to build the funnel. It's a very complex and delicate job, and you need to have both the strategic mindset and the technical know-how, because at the end of the day it's all on you. That being said, fractional CMO is only part of what I do. I also, well, first of all, I'm coming from the demand generation background. So for example, if I get a very interesting gig, a very interesting demand generation gig from a company that interests me, and I don't know, I meet with the team, and we get the vibe, we were vibing with each other. I don't mind taking it. Like I don't care if it's not a CMO level gig. If it challenges me, I'll take it. Um, we talked about marketing automation and stuff like that. So you come across there's also like this new field that also like on the rise. It's called like GTM engineering. So this is another thing that I really enjoy testing and trying, and work with specific tools that at the end of the day make the right connection between sales and marketing.
Okay.
So this
GTM stands for, is it Google
go
Tag?
to market,
Go.
go to market. Yeah,
Google Tag
GTM.
Manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more strategic than that.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, um, yeah, I put a lot of emphasis on aligning sales and marketing together, because at the end of the day, it's very common that both teams work in silos, right? Sales doing their own thing, marketing doing their own thing, but the marketing job is to get the right leads for the sales, and they need to close the deals. You need to work cohesively to understand what's a good lead. How do we make them qualified? How do I make your job easier by providing the lead everything he needs when first he needs to feel ready to book a sales call, and then when he comes to the sales call, he's already cooked enough,
Yeah.
so you just get the job done. So there's always this um, conflict. Sales say you give me those bad leads, but marketing say you don't know how to get your job done. So
Yeah.
my role is to come as the connecting dot in between to to align both teams.
Basically, to find ways how to. Okay. Do Do you think, can there be sales without marketing?
Can there be sales without marketing? Yes, but it really depends. Well, first of all, it depends on the product, the service, the industry. I saw um, a lot of startups that managed to scale. Well, they claim that it's without marketing. I don't necessarily agree, because even if you do something like very simple, like, I don't know, putting your LinkedIn post out there, it's some kind of a marketing, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. But you don't, you can get to results to an extent level without marketing. If you want to scale, you're gonna have to have
Mm.
marketing.
What about the opposite?
Okay, if
Marketing team, no sales, for example.
how can you do that?
Mm. I don't know because like at the agency that we worked, like they always we didn't have a sales team. Like there was someone who you would speak, which was the CEO and stuff.
So the CEO used to do the sales.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
it's like you are your own company's CEO, but
hmm,
you're the one who
doing the
exactly.
deals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing my own sales. You know, at the end of the day, we're all salesperson in a way.
Mm.
Um, and even well, there is one case that I can think of. You know, of where you can have marketing without sales, which is being a direct to consumer business. So if
Mm.
you sell, I don't know, if you sell shoes online or whatever, you know,
Okay.
you can run your business without sales team. But
Yeah.
even then, you know, it really depends.
Okay. So you mentioned about something about your first day. Let's go back to when did you like it was not that long ago when you went you are considered now a freelancer, right?
Yeah, yeah. Less than a year.
Less than a
I
year.
started in March.
Okay. Let's go to the first day you start on your own. Tell
Yeah.
me a bit about Tzvi on the first day when like what were your thoughts, worries and
I scared as hell, man. I scared as hell because we already had a daughter at home, and my wife was pregnant back then.
Mhm.
And you know, you leave a very very established company with, you know, a guaranteed income, and you get those, you know, end of the year bonuses, and you know, all of this
Yeah.
stuff. You know, you basically, you're guaranteed every year a raise. It's just a
Mhm.
question of how much. It's it gets to this level,
Mhm.
and you leave this place to be, you know, on your own. It's like it's a massive leap of faith, man. It's a massive leap of faith. And you know, my first day, actually my first day was already when I had one client in hand. So you know, it was kind of an optimistic, you know,
Mhm.
path, but I knew that I had to hustle like a
Mhm.
maniac.
Okay. So first day you already have a client.
Yeah, I already had a
Okay.
client. Like I started working with them while I was working for them.
Okay. But was it a full-time client or you
Oh
no
no,
no?
no. It was a very small client. We're
Okay.
still working to this day, actually.
Okay. And then I will ask you because it's a very recent for you. It's 1 year. Are
Yeah.
you now feeling comfortable with what you do? Like with not with what would you do with the amount of clients that you get, the amount of work that you get. Are you now in a bit of a safer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So this is. It's funny that you mention it because I'm being really loud about it these days. After, you know, I kept it to myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm active in a lot of you know, marketing executives, communities, and stuff like that. As you know, I was talking about hustle. You know, one of my biggest hustles was the networking part,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized now that I fell into one of the most common pitfalls for, you know, for a self-employed, which is being a greedy.
Okay.
And you know, it's good trouble. You know, people might say, you know, you're just whining, but it's a very common challenge. You know, I a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my friends got to experience it as well. So you get to a point where you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, I can take this client and, you know, add to my retainer, but then you realize that it requires a lot from you, and you're only one person with two hands,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a very limited time, you know, throughout the week, right? So every client like needs to have calls, every client needs to get the job done, and you get to a point where like, okay, I'm on calls all day long. When do I have the time to get the job done? I also, I need to be present for my family. I need to, I don't know, I want to have some time for myself. I want to have a life. I want to go out with my friends. I don't know. I want to play music. I don't play
Yeah.
music. So yeah, for when it comes to like to clients, um, well, thank God, I'm more than okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now it got to a level where I took one client, too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also I have my clients, I have my business as the fractional CMO, as the marketing as a service guy. But I also have my own gig as, I'm building a tool, a service that provides assistance with Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another channel that I'm working on to grow and get more clients, and I need to maintain the product and make sure that the product is you know sufficient so my clients will be happy. So there is a lot of pressure and a lot of stress all
Mm-hmm.
across the board.
And how are you handling the stress?
Whew. Um, well, I used to find comfort in going to the gym and work out, but
Mm-hmm.
now I'm injured, so
Okay,
I
you
can't
can't.
work out. Yeah, and it's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy these days. I find solace with my family, with my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I love them to death. I really love spending time with them. Um, I'm trying to maintain a social life. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. Like the moment I recover, I'll get back to to
Mm-hmm.
the gym. It really it really helps me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my friends recently told me like, dude, you really need to find another thing for your soul
Mm.
and find the time and prioritize it, because there is never good time um, to leave the job aside and say, okay, now I'm focusing only on this or that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The job is always, it never waits,
Yeah.
right? It always piles. You I guess you know it better than me, with your company
Mm-hmm.
and your project and stuff. If you leave your keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
it's just more job, waiting for you like the
Yes,
next day.
exactly. Yeah. Do you is one of your aspiration to be at the point where, well, actually, usually it's a question for the end, but what is one of your aspirations now that you've started freelancing? It's been a year. What how do you see things going forward, let's say in 5 years?
It's a very good question. I haven't thought this through yet. Yeah, I don't really have an end
Mhm.
game right now.
Okay.
I guess my end game, at least when if you ask me today, where do I want to be? Uh, I guess I guess I want to be in a place where I have a bit more time for anything other than work.
Mhm.
And I guess it involves hiring more people to get
B-
work off my desk.
Building a team.
Exactly, like delegating
Mhm.
stuff, outsourcing stuff. um, but then you need to find the right balance between getting enough clients and retainers for you to earn your share, but also be fair enough to give them their share that they'll be happy with, and
Yeah.
they'll want to work for you because they won't feel disgruntled that they're being underpaid.
Mm.
And obviously, as I mentioned, I'm working on another thing, like another product. Well, my main goal is to make it big enough so it'll work for me at the end of
Okay.
the day. And I guess that this is the key, like creating this kind of a tool, a software or whatever that will grow big enough for you to just take the foot off the gas from other projects and say, okay, I'm good with having, I don't know, 2 3 clients and I have this thing working for me.
Mm. So yeah. Okay. I see. Um,
Do you have such kind of a project or
I do. I have a lot of projects.
yeah,
Some of them never finished
of course,
in the middle.
of course.
Freelancers started as a project like this, it was like something that we wanted to build first for the community here in
Hmm.
Cyprus for the freelancers and things like that, but also we wanted to make this at some point to be like us a good chunk of income to come from that platform. Well, one thing brought the other. We kind of it never got into it. So
Yeah.
we don't have time actually now to work on freelancers, even though we built the platform, we built everything. Um, yeah.
And you got a good traction from it? Like, do you have sufficient, like, for example, if you come up, I don't know, in 2 months from now, when you say I'm arranging a meetup, like, how many do you think will come?
Um, the the quick answer is I don't know because it's it's nothing like I created the group. I am not very active in the group. Not a lot of people are active in the group. Based on what I don't know, I feel like maybe 15 people would come on the first.
15. Okay.
Maybe I don't know. Like depends. You know, like at the start when when we launched the platform, there was a bit more. You know, like traction and people would send me messages, be
Yeah.
like, okay, and like it's a really nice platform. We want to get involved and all this. But yeah, unfortunately, I did not. You need time to manage that as
And do you
well.
feel like a lot of freelancers here in Cyprus are looking for these ways to connect? Like, do you feel like there's a demand for it?
I think like in the recent years, yes, and me moving here and actually seeing how the market goes and like everyone, like especially like social media managers,
Mm-hmm.
like there are a lot of social media managers. They are mainly freelancers, obviously some companies have like in-house social media managers, but I do feel like one thing that I am not sure yet is how it's the thing that you said before, how the people here they want to work together. Like for example, we both do social media,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are we going to work together, like learn from each other and things like that, or is it like, oh, it's me and you are my competitor and we don't speak, I just need to like.
So that's the thing. That's a very these are two different approaches, right? Two
Mhm.
different mindsets.
Yes, exactly.
I can tell you that in other places like Europe, US, Israel, doesn't matter. They arrange a lot of meetups,
Hmm.
from the same industry. It doesn't matter, if we sell the same services for the same even audience or
Yeah.
verticals or whatever. People are looking for ways to get together with experts in their field, share challenges, um, learn something new,
Hmm.
just talk about even just renting.
Yeah.
For example, I really like this format of fuck up nights
Okay.
when you just you gather around, usually in a bar, like you grab a beer or something, and it's a very like light vibe
Hmm.
because everybody just they gather around and they talk about something that they fucked up with,
Okay,
like
I see.
I
Okay.
messed up with this and that, and this could cause
Hmm.
this and that damage for my company or for
Hmm.
whatever, and this is how I learned, not to do it again, or
Hmm.
uh,
I see.
as opposed to, yeah, this is how I learned to manipulate the system, and this is the case study, and it brought me
Mm.
this and that. But you'll never be able to do it because the algorithm has already learned the shtick. It's a really
Hmm.
it's a really different themes, but at the end of the day, people are looking for both.
Hmm. So far, like from what you've seen now in Cyprus, do you think there is like not an urgency, but if there was a meetup for freelancers, do you think people would feel interested to come and do what you said now, like share stories or?
I think so. I attended a few meetups. Um, some of them were just for mingling, just
Hmm.
get to know people, and that's it. It was nice. I met a few nice people over there. None of them were relevant for me for what I do, but it was nice,
Mm.
just to get to know more people on this island, and
Okay.
maybe someday, you'll
Mm-hmm.
come up with something. Hey, let's work together, or hey, I like this colleague of mine is looking for a marketing guy, and I was thinking about you or whatever. I do it because I found that I really love networking,
Mm-hmm.
without thinking about what will be my immediate benefit. Maybe
Mm.
someday we'll work together. Maybe not. It's
Mm.
okay. Um, and there are also all of those big conferences and stuff like that. I didn't find myself over there. Like it felt
Mm-hmm.
a bit too, it felt like people didn't really want to mingle with other people. They were just tied with their own
Yeah.
groups and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. This is where I felt weird, just hanging out there by myself, with my drink.
Mm.
Okay, I'm the odd guy. I'm the weirdo who's just staring at everybody, and
Mm.
and there are other more intimate meetups like the one I told you earlier about with the startups and stuff like
Mm.
that, where I really enjoyed. I find them really valuable. I think that um, people are looking for new initiatives, but they're looking for validation. So if I see that some people came to this event, I'll come to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why people want it, and it's like build it and they will come at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day. And don't get discouraged just because you brought 10 people to your first event. Give it another shot and another shot.
Mm.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't, but consistency is the key here.
Yeah. Speaking of consistency, um, let's see. Like, do you are you like? Would you describe yourself as a disciplined person? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
where like on the football stuff, on the football club, and then to now, right?
Oh, yeah, that you cannot compare. I was 13, man. It's like
What
oh,
happened? How did discipline grow? Or like like everyone grows discipline, right? It's not like you born with.
yeah,
At least that's how I feel. Like like you train discipline.
yeah.
How did you train your discipline?
I guess it's because, well, you learn lessons from your failures, and sometimes some failures hurt more than the others, and this is where you realize that. And this is also a mantra that I always tell myself, like every day, every day, every day that I wake up in the morning. One of the first things that I tell myself is, nobody owes you anything. Nobody's gonna do nothing for you.
Hmm.
So what other choice do you have? You just have to go out there and just take what's yours.
Yeah, and give it your best,
And the
right?
only way, exactly, and the only way to do it is by being disciplined enough. And something that I firmly believe in is never settle for mediocrity. Like always push yourself out of your comfort zone. The
Hmm.
comfort zone for me is one of the most dangerous places to be at, because then you get numb.
Hmm.
And when you get numb, you miss this whole growth mindset.
Is moving like is this something that you've noticed more since you started freelancing that you are,
No,
but you always were like
no.
that?
I always aspire to be better compared to what I used to be. Always, no matter what I do. Like if I'm into it, I want to be at least good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So people would value me for what I do and for what I bring to the table. This is why whenever I'm experiencing a failure, like I'm being very hard with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even like last week, my wife and I had a conversation, and she was like, "You always seem like you're unhappy with your life," and I told her that's not true. I'm super happy with my life. I just want more.
Mm.
I always
Okay.
aspire for more. It doesn't matter if it's for me, for our daughters, for you. I always aspire for more. So, I work very hard to get to achieve more than what we currently have. And yes, sometimes it's very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So, you see me stressed, but I wish, I weren't that stressed. But, to get the job done, to accomplish everything that, we set ourselves as a goals,
Mm-hmm.
we need to go, we need to
Mm-hmm.
grind our teeth and do it. And yeah, you need to be super disciplined because
Yeah.
nobody owes you anything.
Mm-hmm. Would you say like music helped you get disciplined? Because like at the beginning, did you have difficulty learning the guitar, or
No,
it came easy?
no. Once again, I taught myself. Um, I do recommend if you're considering learning an instrument, go to a teacher because learning the technique is just like working out. You need to learn the technique in order to be better at it
Mm-hmm.
faster. And uh,
So you were a self-taught.
yeah, I was a self taught.
Ah.
After playing, I don't know, 15 years or maybe less, like 10, 12 years, I went for the first time to a teacher and we were playing together. And it was like, dude, did you always play like that? And I was like, what do you mean playing like that? And it was like, you were doing like, you're playing with your fingers, you're plucking with your fingers in like not really in a wrong way, but if you'll do it in another way, you'll you'll be able to produce a better sound. And I tried it, for the first time in my life after 10
Mm-hmm.
years. I was like, yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about how to pluck my fingers. That's like super basic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried it and I was like, whoa, okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
I managed to produce a better sound. And then you need to
Mm-hmm.
have the discipline to relearn, something that you used to
Everything.
do for 10 years
Mm-hmm.
straight, right? It's like a muscle memory.
Yeah.
You need to retrain your muscle memory to do as opposed to what you used to do for
For
10
10 years.
years. It's a
Yeah.
lot. So I don't think that the music led me to be, more disciplined. I think that I brought more discipline
Mm-hmm.
towards what I do, be it like music or any other thing in life.
Okay. So then let's jump to the other part where you mentioned now you are self-taught, even music, the things that you do now. How do you think like if you had a university degree, like it would have helped you do something faster in any way, or like same analogy as with the guitar teacher?
Maybe, maybe not. Um, I'm not sure about marketing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like here in Cyprus. You have marketing degrees in Israel. Well, I'm not sure if they helped anyone to get a better job compared to those who didn't have marketing degrees. So it's like marketing specifically is a bit more vague. I mean, some places do prefer people with degrees, with academic degrees. I think that being in an academic institute definitely brings you, helps you with acquiring more tools to deal with, your day to day challenges. I think that more than anything, it helps you with building connections faster
Okay.
because then you get to know, your faculty, your teachers, and once you graduate, if you're good enough, and if you leave, well, once again, we're going back to the beginning of our
Mm-hmm.
conversation. If you leave a good impression, you
Mm-hmm.
have they'll have you at the top of their minds, when they'll run into something like that. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Cyprus. You tell me if it's like.
So I feel like in Cyprus it's very difficult for self-taught, honestly. Like for like all the time that I've been here, like not before me getting the degree and like seeing the industry, like maybe now recently this started changing. But I feel like here, for example, you want to go as a software engineer and you go somewhere and you're like, oh, I'm a self-taught. I feel like the you lose a lot of trust because you are a self-taught here. I might be wrong, but this is the impression that I have so far Like
And you learned here in Cyprus or in the UK?
uh, what do you mean? Like
Your academic degree
in the UK.
in the UK.
Yeah, so I studied and then I lived there after studying.
How long did you live there?
In total 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So with the studies and then I worked, and then with the pandemic, I moved. I moved here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I feel like yeah, pretty much it. Like it's difficult if you don't have a degree.
Yeah, I guess it varies between, your degrees because as you mentioned, like engineering and stuff like that, it's just like law, for example. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you learned in a very prestigious university, your
Mm-hmm.
chances to get better jobs are higher, right?
Yeah.
Like if you learn law in Harvard, for
Mm-hmm.
example, it'll be much easier for you compared
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Well, and also with that, like I don't. I've met a lot of people. We also have at our company self-taught. Like I don't. For me, it's I've seen. Because I've seen with my eyes self-taught. In the UK, you get good like because you need the drive. That's what you need. Like it's not a degree that you need because you went. You had 4 years of
Mhm.
studies and you did your studies, and then for some people it does help. Because maybe they don't have the discipline to sit and learn the
Yeah,
stuff. But if someone is well disciplined and can learn, they are like doing very good, I think, like
yeah.
even being self-taught.
And when you run your own business, well, you need to have discipline, but on the other hand, it really depends because then you don't necessarily have the time to teach yourself new stuff because you're busy, with operating your
Yeah.
business and
And
accounting and all of the all around stuff that you have to deal with all of a
mm-hmm,
sudden. But at the end of the day, once again, it's up to you. My
mm-hmm,
best friend is a lawyer, and he told me you'll see that the moment you'll head your own path, all of a sudden you'll be like more pressured to I need
mm-hmm.
to do this, I need to do that, like I need to get it
Yeah.
going, I need to get it going because once again nobody else will do it.
Yeah. And if you leave it, it will just
It'll
pile
bite you
up.
in the
Yeah.
ass. It'll bite you in the ass.
Yeah. Um, s- Being a self-taught, do you think it gives you, on the other hand, it gives you an advantage on any field or anything like that?
um Sometimes yes, because in order to be a self-taught you need to be curious enough,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're curious enough, once again, you have the drive to look for ways. I think that more than anything, when it comes to let's call it like competitive advantage, I think that it makes me a bit more resourceful compared
Mm-hmm.
to other people.
Yeah.
Like being able to find um, out of the box solutions for challenges
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. You know that you've been there, right? You've done it, so you had to find things before.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you need to do your research a bit, and
Mm-hmm.
and maybe think of ideas that nobody else have thought of. Um, yeah, I think that this is like the main advantage. If I compare self-taught to
Mm-hmm.
people who went through the traditional way. Other than that, I mean, yeah, it's just a matter of how how are you able to perfect your skills. So
Mm-hmm.
this is.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, with that said and all this, do you ever like deal with like imposter syndrome
Oh,
or
all of the time,
yeah.
all of the time, all of the time. I work with very high level executives always, and I participate in a lot of marketing executive forums,
Mm-hmm.
communities, discussions, zooms, meetups. um, there is always this doubt, whispering in your ear
Mm.
that maybe you're not up to par, maybe you're not at this level and stuff like that. But looking back at what I accomplished, and even like the way that I'm being perceived with, some of my colleagues, and I'm not saying it to brag or whatsoever. It's just, I'm saying it while being very appreciative towards, this current situation. I always reminded to myself,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you've been so far, you got to this point. You're in a place where you're operating your own
Mm-hmm.
business with your own clients. People
Mm-hmm.
love working with you. Um, People in the community know you and appreciate you. So yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
do belong. You do belong. And if you feel like you don't know anything, specific that you would like to know,
Mm-hmm.
just, go ahead and
Yeah.
do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah. I, I think it's very important to be able to say that to yourself, right? Like, because like otherwise you will just get drowned on on the thoughts like
Exactly,
behind it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like, you know that at the end of the day, um, when it comes to your own business, you have to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You can think and you can overthink as much as you want, but
Mm-hmm.
if you do, that'll get you closer compared to not doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And every time, even like when I want to reach out to someone and network with someone, there's always like this doubt, but it doesn't know me, she doesn't know me, like, well,
Yeah.
fuck it, just shoot the message. Like, what would be the worst thing in the world? They'll say,
Yeah.
no, I'm
No.
not interested in in having a Zoom with you. No, it's first of all, it's very unlikely. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody want to talk with
Mm-hmm.
someone. Maybe they don't have the time right now,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, they'll be like, yeah, okay, let's find the time. And like, who knows? Who knows?
Let's go with some of like to wrap up things with some of the advices that you would give to people. First of all, like businesses. Okay, let's start with the business. I will take a startup. Okay,
Mhm.
what would you advise the startup? I have a platform. I made a platform
Yeah.
and I want, to go out there. I know that I need a fractional CMO or whatever. Okay, like I need a team or I need an advisor
Hmm.
regarding the marketing part. At which stage should I contact you?
So you can contact me at any stage, because at the end of the day, you will need a go to market strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to build from the bottom, I'm the one that can help you with asking the difficult questions and essentially helping you with shaping your understanding of how to shift your product to fit the market.
Mm-hmm.
If you're already at the level that you know that you have a solution that answers a specific uh, pain point that
Mm-hmm.
your target market needs right now, and it doesn't matter if the market has already solutions or not, you can always be better than
Mm-hmm.
the solutions that are out there. Then I'm the one that can help you with um, understanding what ticks the target
Mm-hmm.
audience, who exactly is your target audience among the audience that's out there, and how to create the messaging that would resonate with them. And if you're at the stage that your product is already out there working and you have paying clients and you want to scale it up, I can also be the guy for you, because
Mm-hmm.
I can build a complete omni-channel playbook that would help you with scaling. It really depends on where you're at. If I relate to your question, you come up with a new idea right now, um, and you mentioned that you need a fractional CMO. First of all, you don't more than needing a fractional CMO, you need to understand if your product or solution um, answers a specific pain point
Mm-hmm.
in the market more than anything. Because if not, if you can tell for 1000% that this is the case, then you might need to rethink your idea. That's
Okay.
one thing. The other thing that I would give as an advice, and this is a golden advice that I got from my brother in law. My brother in law is a brilliant guy, brilliant, brilliant guy. And once I pitched an idea that I had, I pitched him, and he told me, okay, like you came up with problems, you came up with solutions, but you weren't focused. These days, businesses need to be super focused about one specific problem and find the best solution they
Mm-hmm.
can come up with for this specific problem.
Okay.
This is like the main advice that I would give for someone who will come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to run my own business right now."
Mm-hmm. Now a more established product.
Yeah.
Okay, they have um, they have troubles with they've noticed that their marketing is not going well.
Yeah.
Okay, are there like, obviously it will depend on the case, but are there any like steps that they can quickly take to pinpoint anything or to get into a better position?
Well, it really depends on what you're currently doing with your go to market. If you if you're able to explain what are you doing and what what distinguishes you from the rest of the competition, why do your target audience needs you now, in a simple language, in a very simple language that even, I don't know, your 11-year-old cousin will ask you,
Mm-hmm.
around the dinner table, and you'll be able to answer in a simple manner. I think that you've done 50% of the job.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, you're not able to explain it to an 11 years old, then you need to rethink on how to do it.
Okay.
And once you're able to take this, raw explanation of what you do, then you can build a story around it, and then you can build on top of it of your mission, why now, why you, um, and all of this stuff. Then the rest of the job comes naturally. Then you'll be able to audit your channel performance. So, for example, if you run paid campaigns, then you can audit your paid campaigns and understand, if your ads resonate with your target audience. Um, are they ready to commit? Like, are they fit to start a sales process? If not, just offer them something a bit, reduce the barrier, offer them something a bit, softer. I don't know. If you have a product, give them a free trial. If you have a platform that needs education, educate them. Create
Mm-hmm.
assets that would be interesting enough for them to leave details, but they get the content, they get the value in return. Always think of the value. What
Okay.
kind of value you can provide your target audience? And of course, you need to understand who's your target audience, because
Mm-hmm.
if you just spray and pray, then you know, you're
Mm-hmm.
wasting resources.
Okay. And back to like, say I have an idea, right? Before contacting you, like, is there any ways for me to quickly check to see if there is like a go-to market there? Like, you know, how would you advise someone to do like quick Google search? I
Like
guess
market
try.
research.
Yeah, like,
Well,
or it's.
these days it's easy because you have the deep research
Mm-hmm.
feature, right? I mean, I'm not saying that the deep research will necessarily resemble in 100% the market research. There are lots of other stuff you can do, but that's a good place to begin with, and then you can you can just compare the ChatGPT or Gemini output, and proofread it. So, for example, um, one good way that businesses usually do is that they offer incentives for you know um, people from the industry that they try to sell to.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I worked for I worked for a startup that provided solutions for marketing executives, and they created a very low budget campaign offering them, I don't know, Amazon gift cards for them to answer a survey.
Mm.
And then you get the survey, you compare it with the deep research output and other, like you can research by yourself, I don't know, areas like Reddit forums or
Mm-hmm.
Slack communities or stuff like that, and then you just come up, and this is your market research basically.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like for me, it's Reddit is the first place that I go, to be honest,
Yeah.
and it's something that I wanted to discuss in this podcast, but maybe another episode too.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, so let's go a bit about some personal advice that you would give to people. Let's start from like a personal advice. Okay, one was the one that you gave before, which was your brother-in-law who said to
Mhm.
be focused, like a focused solution. Is there any other advice that you've been given before that stuck with you, like, and you try to follow it?
Mm, good question. Well, I think that one good advice would be to, um, when you're about to present something, a big idea or a big presentation or whatever, run it internally first before you go out with
Mm-hmm.
to a big panel of, teams, clients, whatever. Run it internally with somebody who you trust
Mm-hmm.
to get you the most brutally honest feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So, you'll be able to fine tune it and then you'll come a bit more ready. That's one good advice that I would give someone. Other than that, I can't really recall good advices that I got. I got a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
advices. It's just, more than an advice, it's more like, things that I learned throughout the way from my colleagues.
Okay.
Um, it's not like they proactively came to me and told me, "Hey, Tzvi,
Mm-hmm.
do this and do that." It's more like I saw how they work and how they operate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, this is something that I can take from them. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's a good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Just find that one thing that you can learn from
Mm-hmm.
anyone.
Yeah.
You know,
So then this brings the question is like, are there any lessons that you've learned the hard way?
ah,
And
well,
what
whoa, so many of them, so many
which
of them.
ones kind of sticks out the most?
Oof. Yeah, we're talking about LLMs, for example, ChatGPT and stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
always double check. Always double check. Never rely on ChatGPT, no matter how hard
Mm.
you train it.
Yeah.
This is one thing that I really learned the hard way. Um, Another fresh example, um, yeah, when it comes when it gets too much, um, put your well-being on top of anything else.
Mm.
It's very easy to get sucked into the stress and the job that needs to be done. And this is something that I constantly try to remind myself, and this is something that I constantly forget.
Mm.
So these days, we're talking about me being stressed and being injured. And, I'm dragging this, it began as a tennis elbow for 6 months. And now I need to go to an ultrasound because there is a concern that I have I ruptured my tendon.
Okay.
If that's true, I need to go through a surgery. Why? Because I was too consumed with with work
Mm.
and everything in life and stuff like that that I didn't even pause and I was like, okay, I'm hurt. Like
Mm.
I feel pain. I
Yeah.
need to take care of myself. I
Yeah.
didn't take care of myself. Now I'm paying the price.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like the burnout and your well-being should always be
Priority. Right.
your first and second and third priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See. What would you say to your 20-year-old self? No, like
Oof.
well, yeah. Well, basically knowing you now and how you were when you were 20 years old,
Yeah,
what would you tell to yourself?
go abroad sooner.
Okay. When did you go first abroad?
um I mean, when it comes to traveling, no, I started traveling when I was younger.
Mm.
um but I'm a late bloomer when it comes to traveling. Like, I started really traveling a lot around my 30s, like
Okay.
the end of my 20s and
Mm.
and on. But when you experience new stuff, new cultures and stuff like that, it opens, it
Mm-hmm.
opens you to new paths and new ways of thinking. So that's one thing. The second thing is, um, if you decide to do something, go all the way and do it. Because back then, when I was 20, I was so sure that, I'm just going to do what I do and play with my bands, and I'll be a rock star and I'll just conquer the
Mm-hmm.
world just by, thinking that I'm good enough to do it. No,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter if you're good enough to do it. You need to, first of all, be better. And second, prove everybody that you're better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's it. Like, I don't regret a lot of things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few things that I regret. So I'm pretty happy with the path that
Mm-hmm.
I've been through. Um, could I accomplish stuff earlier? Yeah, for sure, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But at the end of the day, I really believe that, um, if you're here right now, it's because you had to go through this path and learn those lessons that you
Mm-hmm.
learned.
Okay. I see. Nice. Um, do you read books?
Ironically, no,
Mm.
no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't find a lot of joy in just lying and reading a book, like the
Mm.
action itself.
Mm.
I don't know. I can't really explain it. I
Yeah.
can't really
Well,
explain it.
I
Do
see.
you read?
I did not read a single book up until I was maybe 29 years old, 30
How
years
old are you?
old, 33 now.
33.
Yeah. So I did not like, and then my colleague, he got me into like, you're just doing it wrong. He told me, pick a simple book. So he said, like, he gave me like a small book, read the small book first and then go to a bigger book. And, like, that's how it kind of got into me. And then I read, maybe like more books. But now I stopped reading books. But basically, I asked because I wanted to ask if there is any book that you read that
Oh,
stands out.
so no, no. The
No.
last book that I read was Harry Potter when I was like a teenager. But if you recommend, I'm open to trying books.
Yeah. Well, to me, what made the thing is like picking up a small book. Like um, it was here somewhere. I will tell you after. Um, but it was a simple book because like you can read it quickly. It's about business. It's things that are
Hmm.
of interest to me, and I think it will be of interest to you because
Yeah,
it kind of tells how to sell. Maybe you've heard of it, like Alex Hormozy. He wrote a
yeah.
book.
Of
Yeah,
course, I know
yeah,
Alice Mosey.
yeah. So it's the books that he wrote. I only read one of the books that he wrote. I didn't go to the others, but
Interesting.
it's an easy book to read. That's why like
Yeah, you know,
I
you know
think.
what else is ironic? Even though we sit here in a podcast, I don't listen to podcasts.
Well, no. Is it? I How would you say, like, is it something that you've never done, never introduced to a podcast, or is it something like you are like, oh, it's
Oh
same thing like
no,
a book,
no,
like.
yeah, it's something. It's same thing like the books. Like, it's not that I don't find them interesting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are tons of interesting podcasts, tons of them. It's just, if I plug earphones to my ears
Mm-hmm.
and I want to just, disconnect myself or just focus into doing something, I prefer to listen to music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I wouldn't be able to listen. Like, I need to concentrate to watch the podcast, to really know what
Exactly.
they talk about. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So I've tried putting a podcast while working a few times. Didn't really work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Me neither.
Cool. Nice. I think that's a wrap probably. Um,
All right.
yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming. Like, I'm pretty sure if we sat a bit more, like, I would have a ton of questions more.
Oh, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that, we could
Yeah.
talk about anything for
Yeah.
hours, man.
Yeah. Oh,
But thank you for having me.
yeah.
It's been
Thank you
really
for
pleasure.
coming. Yeah. It was nice to meet you. Nice to
Yeah.
learn what a fractional CMO does.
Yeah, yeah, same
Uh,
same here.
yeah.
Happy to learn more about,
Mm-hmm.
the Cypriot freelancers and
Yeah.
independent contractors scene.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, if things go well and we get more time, maybe we will try and arrange a meetup, as you said, at an
amazing,
lake.
amazing. Yeah, I'm down
We
to
could
it.
come.
I'm
Yeah.
down to it. I'm down to meet more
Yeah.
people here.
There will be at least 2 people there.
Yeah. But consistency is the key.
Yeah.
Next time, 10 will come.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Nice. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.